Welcome to this series, History, Science, and Faith in Islam. It is a historical narrative designed to foster an internal renewal in the world of Islam based on the loving, spiritual message of the Quran and its outreach to other great faith traditions of humankind. In the last session, we examined the events surrounding the Battle of Tours. In this session, we shift our focus to the east, to the conquest of Sindh by Muhammad bin Qasim and the introduction of Islam into India. The conquest of Sindh, located in today's Pakistan, happened in stages. During the Khilafat of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, Muslim armies approached the coast of Makran, but Umar radiallahu anhu withdrew the troops in response to reports of a harsh and inhospitable terrain. Amir Muawiyah subdued eastern Afghanistan and the northwest frontier areas. However, it was not until the reign of Walid I, who ruled between 705 and 713 of the Common Era, that much of what is today Pakistan was brought under Muslim rule. From pre-Islamic times, there was a brisk trade between the eastern coast of the Arabian Peninsula and the western coast of India and Sri Lanka. Ships rode the eastern monsoons to the coast of Malabar and Sri Lanka to pick up spices and return home riding on the western monsoons. Spices were in great demand throughout West Asia, North Africa, and Southern Europe, and transactions were extremely profitable. This trade continued to thrive and expand with the advent of Muslim rule in West Asia and North Africa. It was through these merchants that Islam was first introduced into Kerala in southwestern India and into Sri Lanka, located near the tip of India. Sindh was notorious for its pirates in those times. These pirates would wait in ambush for merchant ships on the coast of Sindh and would raid them for booty. In the fateful year 707, these pirates attacked one of the Muslim merchant ships sailing back from Sri Lanka to the Persian Gulf. The men, women, and children on board the ship were captured and taken inland to Sindh, where the Raja imprisoned them. Hajjaj bin Yusuf Sakhafi was the Umayyad governor of Iraq. When reports reached him of this incident, he wrote to Raja Dahir demanding that the captives be released and the responsible pirates punished. Raja Dahir refused. This refusal set the stage for the onset of hostilities. It was the responsibility of the Khilafat to protect its citizens and to fight against injustice, no matter what quarter it came from. Hajjaj bin Yusuf had that responsibility as a governor representing the Khalifa. He sent an expedition under Ubaidullah bin Binhan to free the captives, but Ubaidullah was defeated and killed in combat by troops of the Raja. Determined that the provocations meet an appropriate response. Hajjaj dispatched an army of 7,000 seasoned cavalrymen under Muhammad bin Qasim Sakhafi. Muhammad bin Qasim was only a young man of 17, but was one of the most capable generals of the era. Paying attention to detailed planning, he sent heavy assault engines and army supplies by sea, while the cavalry advanced by land through Balochistan. The success of an assault requires that the offensive weapons be superior to the defensive weapons. By the year 700, the Muslims had improved upon the various engines of war that they had encountered in their advance through Persia, Byzantium, and Central Asia. One specific assault engine was the Minjanik, a catapult that could throw large stones at enemy forces and at fortifications. The catapult, as a weapon of war, was in use in China as early as the 4th century. Muslim engineers made two specific improvements on the Chinese design. First, they added a counterweight to one end of the cantilever so as to harness the potential energy of the counterweight as the catapult was let go. Second, they mounted the engine mechanism on wheels so that the lateral reaction of the throw did not reduce the range of the machine. The Minjaniks could project rounded stones weighing more than 200 pounds over distances greater than 300 yards. Persistent pounding by such large stones could bring down the sturdiest walls in the forts in existence at that time. After capturing some of the forts on the way, Muhammad bin Qasim advanced towards the port of Dibal, which was located near the modern city of Karachi. The Raja of Dibal closed the city gates, and a long siege ensued. Once again, the means for offensive warfare proved to be more powerful than the means for defense, enabling the Arab armies to continue their global advance towards military and political centralization. As was the pattern with Arab conquest, the Minjaniks threw heavy projectiles at the fort and demolished its walls. After a month, Dibal fell. The local governor fled, and the Muslim prisoners who had been held were freed. From Dibal, Muhammad bin Qasim continued his advance to the north and the east. All of Balochistan and Sindh fell, including Sistan, Bahraj, Kutch, Aror, Kairaj, and Gior. Raja Dahir was killed in the Battle of Gior. One of his sons, Jai Singh, resisted Muhammad bin Qasim at the Battle of Brahnabad, but he too was defeated and had to flee. Muhammad bin Qasim founded a new city near the modern city of Karachi, built a mosque there, and advanced northwards to western Punjab. Multan was his target. Gaur Singh was the Raja of Multan. His large army was reinforced by contingents from nearby domains. The Indians excelled in static warfare with armored elephants and foot soldiers, but these were no match against the swift, hard-hitting cavalry. Realizing the advantage enjoyed by Muhammad bin Qasim's cavalry in mobile warfare, the Raja locked himself in the fort of Multan. A siege ensued. Once again, the technology of Minjaniks proved decisive. The heavy machines destroyed the fort, and the Raja surrendered. Multan was added to the Arab Empire in the year 713 of the Common Era. The conquest of Sindh brought Islamic civilization face to face with the ancient Vedic civilization of the Indo-Gangetic Plains. In later centuries, there was much that Muslim scholarship would learn from India: mathematics, astronomy, iron smelting, to name but a few subjects. Muslim scholarship has focused more on the interaction between Islam and the West, and has neglected the interaction between Islamic civilization and the East. This is a surprise, considering that until the 18th century, there was little that the West had to offer the more advanced Islamic civilization. The flow of knowledge was almost always from Islam to the West. By contrast, the Muslims learned a great deal from India. Soon, the borders of the Umayyad Empire extended to the borders of China, and the Muslims acquired a great many advanced technologies from the Chinese, including the processing and manufacture of silk, porcelain, paper, and gunpowder. The Prophet himself said, and I quote, "Seek knowledge even unto China." The addition of what is today Pakistan consolidated an empire extended from the Pyrenees to the Indus and the Gobi Desert in the north. This vast empire was now rubbing elbows with the ancient civilizations of India and China. From this vantage point, the Muslims were in a superb position to absorb, transform, and develop the knowledge from Persia, Greece, India, and China. Muhammad bin Qasim was eager to continue his advance into northern and eastern Punjab, but events in faraway Damascus overtook events in Pakistan. Khalifa Walid I died in the year 713. In the ensuing political turbulence, Muhammad bin Qasim was summoned back to Iraq, just as Musa bin Nusair was summoned back from Spain at about the same time. After the death of Khalifa Walid I, the end of Muhammad bin Qasim was even more tragic than that of Musa bin Nusair. Muhammad bin Qasim was Hajjaj bin Yusuf, also known as Hajjaj the Cruel, the governor of Iraq. The new Khalifa Sulaiman had a personal dislike of Hajjaj, but Hajjaj died before Sulaiman could punish him. So Sulaiman turned instead against Hajjaj's relatives. Muhammad bin Qasim was dismissed and was sent back to Iraq. The new governor of Iraq, Saleh bin Abdurrahman, hated Hajjaj because the latter had killed Saleh's brother. But since Hajjaj had died, Saleh turned against Hajjaj's relatives. Muhammad bin Qasim was arrested and sent to prison for no fault but that he was a nephew of Hajjaj. In prison, Muhammad bin Qasim was blinded, tortured, and killed. Thus ended the life of two of the most brilliant generals of the 8th century. The fate of Musa bin Nusair and Muhammad bin Qasim is a lesson of historical importance. With the ascension of Muawiyah, legitimacy of rule was no longer by consent of the masses. It was by force. Sultan after sultan arose and established himself by diktat, or by virtue of inheritance from soldier conquerors. When a ruler was competent and just, as happened with Umar bin Abdul Aziz, the common people enjoyed some freedoms. When he was a tyrant, as happened with Sulaiman bin Abdul Malik, the people suffered. Since the period of the first 4 Khalifas, Muslims have not shown an institutional capability to evolve and nourish their political leadership from amongst the masses. When the body politic throws up its first echelon of leadership, the tendency has been to destroy that leadership, unless the leader survives through shrewd maneuvering or ruthless imposition. This inability to cultivate and nourish political leadership from the bottoms up has defined the limits of Muslim power and, in a broader sense, the achievements of Islamic civilization. The survival of potential leaders has always depended on the whims of the despot at the top or of his local political cronies. A second lesson from the tragic deaths of these two outstanding generals is that the internal dialectic of the world of Islam has defined the limits of its reach. Having completed the conquest of Spain, Musa bin Nusair was ready to launch an invasion of France when he was called back. He might well have succeeded in this goal because there was as yet no strong leader to resist a determined assault. By the time the Muslims did come around to venture into central France, Gaul had a strong leader in Charles Martel, and the Muslims were forced to turn around at the Battle of Tours in 732 CE. Similarly, Muhammad bin Qasim had successfully penetrated the Indian defenses in the Indus River basin. Given a green signal from Damascus and Kufa, he might well have extended the dominions of the Khilafat into the Gangetic plains. This was not to be. Muhammad bin Qasim was called back from Multan just as he prepared to launch a major thrust beyond the Indus River. Northern India remained in Rajput hands for the time being. It was not until the victory of Muhammad Ghauri at the Battle of Panipat in 1191 that the Muslims captured Delhi. In both cases, it was the internal turmoil in the Muslim body politic that was the determining factor in the arrest of the Muslim advance. This brings to a close our session on the conquest of Sindh. In the next session, inshallah, we'll examine the events surrounding the Abbasid revolution, which shattered Umayyad rule and established the Abbasid dynasty of Baghdad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.